Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Business Live. Coming up, a new Finance Ministry report reveals many businesses above the VAT threshold do not register for tax. What does this mean to our quest in roping in all businesses onto the tax net? We shall soon be finding out. Also in this bulletin, visiting IMF team expected to round up a 5-day engagement with government on the economy and 2025 budget today. We will be telling you what we've picked up so far from the engagements. Plus, we will engage some players in the hospitality sector as we celebrate Valentine's Day following projections that they could be the biggest beneficiary. We have details of this and more lined up for you. Please stay. Thanks so much for staying on. I am Pius Kojobaka, and looking at our stories. A new report by the Ministry of Finance on Ghana's value-added tax system has shown that many businesses above the threshold of the tax do not register. The following report has more.
The report, however, showed that businesses below the VAT registration threshold choose to register. According to the report, a significant share of registered taxpayers also fail to file tax returns or file a null return with zero sales and purchases. This is one reason why improvements in both voluntary compliance and enforcement are an important part of Ghana's MTRS. The report, titled A Review of Ghana's VAT System, was jointly produced by researchers from the Institute of Fiscal Studies from UK and the Ministry of Finance. It analyzes the design, administration of Ghana's VAT and associated levies, as well as short and longer run revenue trends.
Let's explore this further. Joining me via Zoom is partner at PwC Ghana, Abeku Jan Kwanza, for some analysis on the back of this development. Thanks so much, Abeku, for your time here on Business Live. I bet you must be worried about this development, that a lot of businesses that are above the VAT threshold are not paying their taxes.
All right, so thank you very much for reaching out. And whether I am worried or not, I guess is a matter to be discussed. But a question that we need to ask is that why are they not registered? Could it be the case that they are not aware? Could it be the case that they think their businesses are not large enough to register, amongst others? So for the sake of our audience, let me take you back into history. In 2016, January, thereabout, we had a new VAT amendment that said that I am generally required to register for VAT if I make sales exceeding or at least 200,000 per annum. And I'm saying this in the simplest of form. 200,000 cedis over 12 months at that time was more than 50,000 US dollars. Currently, that 200,000 is still the general mandatory registration threshold. In current terms, that amount is a little, probably around 12,000 thereabouts. So a business that was not registrable in 2016, for instance, would all of a sudden find themselves registrable. Now, obviously, there is some concern that one would have that these businesses were supposed to register and charge VAT, but they did not. However, I still go back to ask, why is it a situation? Should we as a state be revising our VAT registration threshold so that we do not find ourselves in situations whereby we have small businesses having to be complying with VAT? So, of course, it's a worrying concern because of compliance. However, should we have looked at our laws and ensure that we do not capture people that are supposed to be out of the VAT registration and compliance threshold and ensure that they are out of it?
As we ponder over that, others also argue that, well, it could be that other firms or a lot of firms are adopting some innovative means to reduce their tax obligations to the state. And I guess that may also account for that.
Well, that is a valid point. But once again, remember we are having a VAT conversation. The tax is a tax on value addition. And simply what that means is that the VAT that I charge others, I take out VAT that I pay to others and remit the rest to GRA. So you are very right. There are people that if they registered for VAT, they would have remitted that to the state. Because of the fact that probably in 2015, 2016, as I said, remember that the value has been 200,000 since that time up to date. So somebody that was expecting to be registered for VAT when they make 50,000 and above, all of a sudden, now that same amount translates far less than that, and the person may not have thought about that. So I think the way forward to address some of these concerns, because anytime we are talking about tax, let's not just look at how much we would have collected. Let's also not forget that there is a cost of compliance. So maybe GRA in itself have realized that there is really no need to go after those businesses because they are so small that if you go after them, you may actually end up incurring a lot more costs than you would have. So not taking anything away from what you're saying that businesses or some persons would have adopted innovative ways of reducing their tax, I think we should also have a conversation around reviewing our laws to make sure that we don't keep values like 200,000 in our laws for almost 10 years and expect that compliance would be at the level that it ought to be.
If you're calling for a review of our laws, which means then that Ghana's VAT system is really, there's a problem with that.
Ghana's VAT system, without shying away from it, is problematic. I mean, it's a secret that is known to everybody. So I don't even know whether you need to call it a secret. Our VAT regime needs an urgent review. And therefore, I wasn't surprised that our previous presidential candidates both called for a review of the VAT. The medium-term revenue strategy, which we are all looking at now, also calls for a quick review of the VAT. So the VAT ought to be looked at to encourage compliance and ensure that it is businesses that we want in the net, that is actually the businesses that we are finding in the net. Because I'm sure the revenue looks at the cost of collections, and they would not spend their time really going after small businesses, because that is not what VAT is actually meant to do. Otherwise, one would say, should we now go after those in traffic because the person may be reaching 200,000 a year? I don't think that is the effort that this nation wants to commit to those persons. So my call will be, let's ensure that a value that was 200,000 almost 10 years ago is not the same value today.
Abeku, help me with this. What's the connection between this challenge and our struggles in meeting our tax targets and, of course, revenue mobilization?
All right. So that's a very good question. What is the struggle? Now, let me give you a simple example. Let's assume that you do business, all right? And when you buy from your manufacturer and you have to sell, and you make a margin of, say, 5%, under the current VAT dispensation in this country, you would not be encouraged to comply because the VAT in this country is administered with 3 additional levies: the COVID levy, the health levy, and the education levy. Now tell me, if somebody is going to be making 5%, if somebody is going to be making 5% margin on what they buy to resell, and you are asking them to pay 6% with no opportunity to reclaim, that person would think about their business and not comply. So some of those things are things that we need to look at. If the system is unfriendly, if the system would end up making the person lose their livelihood, it is likely that that person would not comply. So once again, I understand the concern that a lot of people are not in the net. The point I've made out to you is that the general VAT registration threshold, as far back as in 2015, 2016, was 200,000. We had reviewed it from 120 in 2014 to about 200,000 in 2016, 2015, thereabouts. Having reviewed that, why do we keep that in our books and expect that somebody who was making an equivalent amount of 50,000 almost 10 years ago and now not making that, would expect those people to register? So we've created a scenario whereby generally the people wouldn't comply.
All right, Abeko, as we wrap up this conversation, already we know that the IMF team is rounding up their conversations with government on the economy and, of course, the 2025 budget. What are your expectations of what the IMF may propose in addressing our revenue challenges?
All right. So there have been public calls, and I'm sure you may have followed the World Bank launch of a public finance report this week. And interestingly, the moderator was your colleague Emifa. And one of the calls that was made at that forum was for us to relook at exemptions. Exemptions are basically things that when you supply, you do not charge VAT. Looking at the posture of the World Bank, and of course that report is publicly available, I would not be surprised that the IMF would make a call for that. So you'll recall that sometime last year, the government wanted to implement VAT on residential electricity, and there was this public outcry which led to that withdrawal. So my expectation is that the IMF may come back to the table following a change of government to see whether exemptions can be reduced so as to generate a bit more revenue. I also expect that there will be conversations around the promises that the government obviously made before coming into power and how the revenue gap can be filled. But of course, there's always the counter argument that the focus should not just be on how much revenue you raise, but how do you also deal with expenditure? So if you control expenditure properly, then you don't need to go for certain kind of revenues, and you can still discharge your public service to the people of Ghana.
I truly appreciate your time, Abeku Jankwansa, partner PwC Ghana, for your input this very moment. Talking about the IMF's presence in Ghana, and we know the team is ready today, expected to finalize its 5-day engagement with government. Joy Business is yet to get details on the final outcome of the meetings, but we understand that concerns about the country's fiscal situation, revenue mobilization numbers, and the rising energy sector debts dominated discussions. We shall be monitoring developments, and of course, we'll keep you posted in our subsequent bulletins. Still on money matters, Finance Minister Dr. Atuforsin is now expected to present the 2025 budget to Parliament on March 11. And this was after the House rejected the March 10, 2025 date because it is a Monday and will be difficult to get all members in the House for the presentation. Majority Leader Mahama Yariga disclosed this to Parliament when he presented the business statement for next week. And we know more financial institutions are now accepting cash-backed assets like share certificates and bond as collateral for loans. That's according to the latest collateral registry report released by the Bank of Ghana. George Yafe tells us more.
Commercial banks and other financial institutions have traditionally relied on movable assets like buildings as collateral for loans. However, the fourth quarter collateral registry report showed that that is changing. For instance, from October to December last year, more than 80% of loans granted through the collateral registry accepted cash collaterals as security. The report also showed that 8.6 billion cedis were granted to businesses from banks for the fourth quarter, of last year, compared to 5.6 billion cedis in 2023. Interest paid on these loans also declined marginally to hit 28.6%.
Meanwhile, Executive Secretary of the Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies, Chunibu Akodi-Abuache, has been explaining to Joy Business why most banks are turning this away.
But he mentioned something about even the support we need from the judiciary.
Yeah.
You see, and if you look at the collateral registry report, you will see that savings and loans companies actually control about
a chunk of it. It's true.
Exactly.
It's true.
About
That was just released
70%.
today. It is true.
About 70%. Why? We believe that we should not focus too much on immovable property.
Okay.
But rather what the people can easily give to you so that you support them to grow. And so for us, we need a very supportive judicial system. There's the Borrowers and Lenders Act currently in place where you should be able to even realize your collateral or security interest without going to court. But you will find out that everybody is going to court. There's more confidence within the court system, the judicial system. More people find it easy to enforce their rights and those things at the courts. But how do we help shorten the process so that the businessman is very sure that when even I take the financial institution to court, within 1 month, 2 months, 3 months,
Settlement of
it's settled.
disputes, NPLs.
When the banking institution takes its case to the court, within the shortest possible time, it's settled. And so this one, we will call upon everybody to come around the table, and we stand ready to support businesses to grow.
Before we pause for a breather, marketing expert and chief executive of MG Ghana Consulting, Michael Abio, has been elected as the new president of the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana. He takes over from Dr. Daniel Kasati, who had served as president of the institute since October 2019. Mr. Abio has more than 20 years of experience in the sales and marketing industry. The election, which was done yesterday, also saw other 3 top positions elected, which included the vice president, treasurer, and secretary. They are all expected to serve in their respective positions for the next 3 years. And we've got the Valentine story for you after this short break. Welcome back to Business Live. Let's talk about love, because today is Valentine's Day, a day set aside to express your love. But in Ghana, a lot of businesses are not being let out as they cash in to offer heavy discounts on products and services to celebrate the day. The hospitality industry, for example, could be one of the biggest beneficiaries in terms of the weekend getaways, dinners, and chill-outs. Let's get onto Zoom and speak to Ralph Aite. He is the general manager of Coconut Grove Regency Hotel. Thanks so much, Ralph, for joining us here on Business Live. Can we say that the hotels might be the biggest beneficiaries of this Valentine's Day celebration? Or it's too early?
Yes, absolutely. The hotel tends to benefit very much from people wanting to give each other an experience. At Coconut Grove, we say we offer memories worth repeating. And it's a very good time because considering the hospitality industry, we offer accommodation, we offer food, we offer wonderful drinks, and overall, we offer rooms that are very well suited and set up to depict what Valentine is all about. So yes, every facility tends to gain some good patronage and also share with them the experiences that they've gained over the years, and most importantly, to serve what they are best at doing.
All right, so it appears demand has picked up.
Yes, demand has picked up overall in Ghana as a hospitality destination. Thankfully, we've had a very good, peaceful election, and it's all seemed to have simmered down. So people are very comfortable moving around freely and sharing love, especially on this day. I must say that it's a very good experience for people, especially those who may be visiting new attractions. Especially in Accra, You have new attractions that have come up, and of course, all over the country. I'll give an example of our hotel in Elmina, which is a Coconut Grove Beach Resort, that now has a very, very world-class restaurant directly on the beach overlooking the sea. And if you move around, you realize that people have set up, new restaurants. The car rentals have upped their business. We have more flights coming into Ghana. So overall, I would say that the Black Star experience, which has been promised to Ghana, is really working.
It's good to know. It's been good for you so far. And of course, it's early days yet. The celebration is still ongoing. Thanks so much,
Yes.
Ralph Aite, General Manager of Coconut Grove Regency Hotel, speaking to us here on Business Live. That's it for the bulletin. I am Pius Kojo Bakaba. Not until we touch on this story before we wrap up quickly. The Chartered Insurance Institute of Ghana has stressed the need for state-owned enterprises to add insurance professionals to its board of directors. President of the institute, Solomon Latte, said this is key to ensuring proper risk management. Here's a report.
We started our first tenure from a negative financial balance, actually, but we've been able to turn that around within the first year. Second year, we are quite healthy in terms of funding, but we also intend to strengthen that more because there are other things we need to do. We think that the insurance industry is blessed with a lot of professionals. And if you come to the CIIG, we are talking about professionals working in every aspect of insurance, the life sector, the non-life, health, pensions, and all those sectors. So it's a very huge family if you talk about CIIG, and we only expect nothing but the best. Going forward, we intend to produce more professionals and also bring them to the fore. I have said, and I'll repeat here, that there should never be an economic dialogue, for instance, without an insurance professional in that. In fact, most of the major boards in the country must have insurance professionals. The idea is to bring proper risk management, insurance-based risk management solutions to our industries, to the economy, to our everyday lives. And once we are able to do that, I am sure that it will straighten a lot of things that are going amiss in the country.
And that's our program for tonight. I am Pius Kojo Baka. Beyond the Numbers is next. And guess what? We're talking about Valentine and, of course, your budget. Just don't want to miss out this discussion with Isaac Ofie Minta and my colleague, Mr. Taki. To stay on.